None other than something that happened the other day.
Oh, this is for you two guys.
So
This one's for you two.
I'm going to start it off. Here. People love wrestling.
Yes.
Right? They love wrestling. They love the fact that it's a sport with a storyline. That's basically what it is. And the fact that it's on TV and you don't have to go anywhere like back in the 70s where you would have to go somewhere is great. The WWE has made millions, if not billions, off of being on TV. Here's the thing. I'm going to throw you guys some numbers about this. Netflix has made a deal with the WWE. Nope, sorry, not the WWE. With TKO. This is the new company that WWE and the UFC have.
They merged. They became TKO.
Right.
This is the first time ever that WWE's not majority owned by the McMahon family.
Correct. So here's the thing, guys. This is going to be a $500 million a year deal for 10 years with an option of 5 afterwards. We are talking about $5 billion deal that was made not by Vince McMahon.
By Endeavor, or TKO, I should say.
TKO. So, what?
Well, if I can offer a little more...
Pancakes, go ahead.
If I can offer a little more backstory, with the new company that bought out WWE, well, not bought out, has a majority stake in WWE.
They merged.
Ariel Emanuel, their specialty is TV rights. So
I didn't know that.
Their deal with Peacock Universal is going to come to an end later in 2024. So currently Raw is on USA Network. It has been for the majority of its run since it came out in 1993. There was a brief period when it was on Spike TV. Remember that network?
Yes.
Then it eventually went back to USA. So all their TV deals are up. Their flagship show, Raw, has been on USA. SmackDown's currently on Fox. Another show called NXT is also on USA. Those two other shows. Now, an important thing to note is it's just Raw, the flagship show that's going to Netflix. The other two shows, the other two properties are going to be on other networks. SmackDown is going to move from Fox to USA, so WWE still has that relationship with Universal. NXT surprisingly is going to CW, so they're spreading their wings to other media platforms.
But now, so anything that was on Peacock is moving to Netflix, or is that also getting spread out?
No.
That's what.
So Peacock, from my understanding, is going to keep the streaming rights. Like WWE had their own streaming. That was controversial in itself when the rights to WWE Network in the States went to NBC Universal. That's why WWE is just a tab on the Peacock network. I freaking miss the old format, but that's another conversation. So Netflix. So I don't know what else is included in the deal. Like, if other WWE shows or eventually or pay-per-views, I'm pretty sure Peacock is going to maintain the streaming rights for a long time to come. So, but just to bring it back to Raw, this is the flagship. This is what put. WWE was on TV for years prior to that, but this is the longest episodic show in the history of TV, in the cable of television. And the fact that it's not going to be on cable anymore is the mind-blowing thing. Netflix is going to be is fully going to weekly live entertainment. I think the first live special they had was Chris Rock's comedy special. No,
I believe it was Love is Blind.
Hello.
I believe it was Love is Blind.
It got canceled.
Yeah, because it got canceled, 1, and 2, it wasn't because it got canceled. It's because Netflix failed at being live. People all signed up and went to go watch it live, and they couldn't. Well, there was server issues.
Well, keep in mind how much of a game changer that this is a weekly live show that's moving to streaming.
Right. So that's something that I wanted to bring up. This is
the part that interests me.
This is the first time a live sporting event, is going to be on Netflix.
Right. Like HBO Max or Max has the connection through their Turner, so they show live games.
Amazon Prime has Thursday football.
Amazon Prime and Peacock has stream games.
Well,
and
YouTube has a Sunday ticket.
Apple TV has show Major League Baseball along with Prime.
Yeah, and they have MLS now, the soccer, American soccer thing. So like every streamer has had their own
something.
thing.
So the question is that where we're going now in the future?
Is
Is live sporting events going to be the next big thing on every single streaming platform?
It's been that. It's been turning in that direction for the past year and a half, I would say.
Here's the question I'm going to ask the both of you. Would you keep Johnny, you don't watch wrestling, but Pancakes, you watch wrestling. Would you, if you did not have a Netflix account, would you sign up for Netflix to watch this?
Most likely, yes.
Most likely, yes. Okay. What about you? Let's just say it wasn't the WWE and it was, I don't know.
I mooch off of my family's account still, even though they've been cracking down on that because even though I don't live with them anymore, I still live in the same zip code. So I think that's the workaround.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how else I have access to their account. But I was going to say, this is like a deal that I feel like could only work through Netflix. Because like if, let's say, like Apple did this, people would have been like,
I think Apple has a sporting thing.
No, I said they have MLS, the American Soccer League, which isn't as big as like, wrestling is, obviously. But it's so like that's why they were able to kind of, move people towards their service for it. But like Netflix getting Raw is much different than like Apple or Peacock or like a much smaller service getting Raw, because much less people like have to look at this and say like, oh man, now I have to get on this service that I don't want to pay for, because they're most likely already paying for Netflix.
Right.
They're most likely already on it. So there's no change. It's something that actually adds value to what they're already paying for.
So do you think that Netflix did something smart by saying, hey, I'll give you $500 million a year just so I can get the people that watch wrestling?
Yes.
That's the greatest thing ever.
This is what you need to like understand too, is that Netflix has been getting a lot of heat lately. I mean, them with every other streamer, for raising its prices and trying to get people away from like an ad-free tier just to get on like the ad tier.
Which they're raising prices
because they make more money off of that. And that's a whole nother, video that we can make. But like they needed something to add, again, like the value of what people are already paying for. If they're paying more money, they got to, add more bang for their buck. And honestly, Netflix is like, they have like their shows that get viral every now and then, but I feel like increasingly, like they've been just putting out content that just isn't great. So like, at this point that people are paying $20 a month for their service, it's like, what am I actually getting out of it if I'm paying this much more now than I did like a year ago? And I think this was like one of the perfect ways to do it. They needed a sport. It didn't need to be Raw. It needed to be just something that a lot of people will, like a sporting event that a lot of people watch. So this was a great first step for them into that new realm.
So here's the thing. Does that mean that they're going to do more? Or, well,
everyone's
what
going
I'm
to do
saying more is there going to be more live events on Netflix now, or any other streamer? Like, forget about the sports now. Now you got sports going on to streamers, right? What happens if they turn around and say, listen, we just did a review for Monarch, right? So what if they say, oh, you can only watch it live on this, but only on this day, and it'll take another day or two before you could watch the whole thing again. You could watch the repeat there. We're basically taking what used to be on
cable.
TV. Yeah, cable TV, or even, the regular TV. But now you're taking it streaming, and it's like, what are we doing here?
I think in that, like for non-live, like only events, I think we've seen where they're going with that with like Disney, because like they've been like, hey, this is premiering at 9 p.m. on our on Disney Plus, and you can watch it like for the first time with everybody else at 9 p.m. specifically. It's not going to be a midnight release. So like I think like maybe timed releases might be something like with regular shows, but when it comes to sports, I mean, like with Paramount Plus, this is the second time they're having the Super Bowl, even though it's not exclusive to Paramount Plus. It's going to be on CBS, but Paramount Plus airs CBS. So like by having CBS, they're going to have the Super Bowl, and this is the second time they're doing that in I think 3 years. So like it's not new to have a major a live sporting event on a streaming service. It's the exclusivity that I think is the question. Like when will we see the Super Bowl on just Paramount Plus or just Peacock,
Right.
and not Peacock and NBC or Paramount Plus and CBS. So I think that transition, we're in the middle of that right now. It's eventually going to be that when everything goes to streaming.
Another deal to keep an eye out. Speaking of streaming, the UFC WWE sister company now under TKO has a deal in place with ESPN, and that deal is ESPN on their streaming service, ESPN Plus, which is under the Disney umbrella. So that's coming up. You know, they just saw it. I don't know if it's legally it'd be allowed, but maybe they can be looking at Netflix could be looking at adding the UFC under its umbrella because it has WWE's programming.
See, that's where lawyers come in.
Yeah.
That's where lawyers come in, because if they have a contract with ESPN, that means that the House of Mouse is controlling that, and they're not going to let it go.
And
there's nothing else on ESPN.
Assuming they're not selling off ESPN, because I feel like those rumors are flying every single day.
And that's a thing I keep telling you that Apple should do. They should just buy ESPN off of Disney.
I think they should too.
And another thing to keep an eye out, their competitor AEW is currently on the Turner channels of TBS and TNT, which is of course on the Warner Brothers.
Right.
Their deal's coming up. You know, if you know,
well, who's to say that now on HBO Max we may have a similar deal?
They might move them off their network TV and put them on their streaming service.
Right.
That gets to be seen. Or does Tony Khan see the amount of money he can get by going to a different streaming service? Like if if Raw goes to Netflix, does their signature show Dynamite go to Prime? You know,
it's possible. Anything's at this point, guys. Anything is possible. So we don't know where everything is going to go.
Like I remember reading, you know, their deals coming up. Amazon's in the conversation, possibly Netflix. But you're thinking, no way. You know, this is definitely staying on a network. At least USA Network, which is, you know, it's been its main home since 1993. And then I saw the news, and you and me were talking. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but honestly, if you look underneath the hood and you look up like the numbers declining year after year for cable and the numbers increasing year after year for streaming, I mean, the writing's on the wall. This is what I'm saying. It's only a matter of time before we have these types of live events on just streaming and not both streaming and cable. This is just a transition. Like, this is what the studios want. This is what all these TV companies want. Eventually, they're just trying to wean everybody off of cable because they know that that's where the trend is headed, and getting people onto streaming more and more. So it was this was something that I always envisioned, at least. So I'm not surprised in the slightest. Yeah. As somebody that doesn't have cable and only has streaming, this only makes me happy. So that's all I can say.
But we got a whole year until that happens. Remember, it's going to happen in January of 2025. So it's a whole year from now.
Yeah.
We got time. Because listen, I would not be surprised if AEW does exactly what you said.
Yeah, exactly.
Go up to another streaming site and be like, listen, give us the same deal that that WWE got for Raw.
And I forget the source, but I think there's an opt-out option after 5 years if Netflix feels like the deal is
10 years.
No. They can opt out after 5 years.
Oh, I didn't know about that. I didn't read that. Okay.
And also another thing that's going to go away is another thing that like wrestling fans and insiders harp on is, what was the TV rating? But the fact that Raw is fully moving to streaming, that's going to go out the window because Netflix doesn't release their viewing numbers, right? Correct?
Streaming in general, I think they're not bound by the same types of laws that like the FTC with you can't say this on television, you can't do this on television if you're rated this or that. So I think they're going to care less about that for sure.
So Raw might get a little bit more edgy, but that's yet to be seen because there's a lot of sponsors still in play.
Yeah.
Well,
so
listen, I'll tell you this much though. I think people are going to be getting pay raises because you have to think if you're getting as a company $500 million
that's a whole
year.
That's a whole nother video probably for another channel. But you know they still have annual releases of talent, and they're making this crazy amount of money from the TV deals. So certain people will get raises. I mean, The Rock's definitely getting a raise. He's a board member of TKO now.
I'm glad you brought that up because now he owns the right to The Rock. He hasn't owned the right to use the name The Rock in anything but WWE.
Well, I'm sure he was allowed to use it.
No. If he used it, the WWE had to get a cut.
In the early days, yes, but
then that's why he stopped using The Rock and started going on as
Dwayne
Dwayne Johnson only. So yeah, but yeah, again, that's another video for another day. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it, guys. I don't think we have anything else to talk about with Raw on Netflix or any sporting on any other streaming service. I think, like you
There's
said,
more to come.
Yeah, there's
you
more
know?
to come.
This is
the
the start of
future.
a trend.
Yeah, and it's going to keep happening. And eventually, there's not going to be any
Game
more.
changer. That's the big phrase to use
Yeah,
here.
for sure.
Yeah. So other than that, guys, let us know what you guys think. Do you think it's a good idea that Raw is going to Netflix? Do you think that it's a bad idea? Do you think that it should have never went to Netflix and gone somewhere else? Let us know down low in the comments. And, that's it.